So, here with IONCINEMA right after Ava DuVernay's... Ava DuVernay's second feature film, which premiered on Saturday. Friday, sorry.
It's okay.
Well, I've seen your first film, and I loved it, and I also loved this film, so I was really happy to see it here and to cover it. I guess I wanted to start with, there's a couple themes I've noticed between both films that I wanted to ask you about. Your protagonist seems to focus on a woman who's just lost the person closest to her in both films. And so I was wondering if you're especially attracted to telling stories about women in kind of worst case scenarios.
I don't know if I'm interested in telling stories of women in worst case scenarios. I don't see the scenarios like that. I mean, I think that our opportunity to learn the most about ourselves comes in the gaps and in the spaces where chaos is amidst us. We're in the midst of chaos. Those are the times when you really learn about yourself. You push yourself to kind of get to the next place, or you stay stagnant and you don't grow. And so I think that's how I see these stories, as opposed to worst case. These are really the best case scenarios for the woman to make a choice to go one way or the other. And in my stories, I always choose that she overcomes it. So, but yeah, it's just all in the way you view the circumstances.
True. So more of they're on the verge of making a change.
Yeah.
And
These characters on the cusp of self-discovery. A lot of times that's triggered by traumatic events, I've found personally.
Okay.
And those are the times that I've grown the most. But you have to make a choice to do that. You know, you could just stay where you are, or you could move ahead when you're in those circumstances. And so I'm really interested in those kind of stories.
Okay.
Excuse my voice.
No, you're fine.
I was trying to do a sexy thing for you. I took it too far.
No, it's working. Keep going. I've also noticed there's kind of very strained mother-daughter relationships in both films.
Films. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the mother-daughter relationship with Anissa. I think Emmy might be able to kind of elaborate on how she came to kind of build it with Lorraine Toussaint, the other actress. But yeah, in I Will Follow and in Middle of Nowhere, they both explore I think the most important relationship, and for all of us, is the tie to our mother and our father. And it really dictates, you know, the way that we move about the world and the way that we interact with our significant others and the way we see ourselves. And so that relationship for women in particular, you know, seeing yourself in your mother's.
I mean, I think we all, in some kind of way, want to please our parents, especially a mother and a daughter. And for Ruby, her mother had so many expectations for her. She was on her way. You know, it's her 4th year of medical school, almost finishing, and then when this happens, it kind of changes everything for her. And so she has her own expectations, but she knows how important this is to her and her mother. So when everything changes, things become heavier, things become a bit more accentuated, and she's aware of that. And that awareness keeps her almost cowering in the presence of her mother, because she can't quite face her, because she feels that she's let her down in some kind of way. And I think that's where the tension comes from. It's a feeling of, I'm trying. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to find my way.
Another thing is each of your protagonists, on the verge of a change, is caught between two relationships.
Are you breaking down my film? It's the same movie, Nicholas.
It's not the same movie. No, they're distinctly different.
Yeah,
but Omari Hardwick's in both of them, and you happen to play a man on, you kind of get the flip side in this one. So
yes, I agree. The first one, I Will Follow, I think I am playing Brian, you know, playing what David's character is in this film. I think I'm a knight in shining armor, you know, for lack of a better term. And I think in this project, obviously, I am the original spark that has Emmy's character going off and trying to really redefine, as David said earlier, who she is, based on these two bookends of characters between Brian, played by David, and Derek, played by me. Yeah, it's nice to play different ones.
Yeah.
Maybe the next one David will play.
I want tattoos next.
Okay.
So even though it, you know, your character is caught between both men, it takes you defining yourself on your own to move forward with that, which I also saw with Sally Richardson's character as well. I want to talk about your casting for actresses, and where did you find? And can you pronounce your name for me?
Sure, it's
so I don't butcher-
Emayatzy Corinealdi.
Emayatzy Corinealdi. Where did you find her?
Emayatzy just walked in off the street and said, "Can I have a job?" No. Emayatzy, yeah, pretty much. Emayatzy, I'd never heard of her. I'd never seen her work, and she came in for an audition for another part. And I wasn't even in the room when she first came. It was we went on tape with our casting director Aisha Coley for another part.
Okay.
And it's like, what the heck is that? She was being Rosie. She was being kind of sassy, but you know, she's had chops. You know, she's a really incredible actor, and you can tell. So we brought her in for Ruby, and put her through the paces against like 5 other people. Abused you. She came out. You know, came out of the other side. I mean, I knew from that moment, but because she hadn't done anything else, because this role is so intense in terms of this character's in every single frame of the film, the whole film hinges on her face, you know what I mean, and her soul and her heart. And so you just had to find the right person. And then also, I'm very intolerant of bad behavior with actors.
Okay.
And so it also was you know, you want to find the right person to collaborate, the right energy of the actor herself. And so it wasn't just the ability, it was who is she, and could we create something together. And from the minute I sat down with her, I just felt like I found a sister.
Okay.
So it was really great.
Okay, that's awesome because you are excellent in the movie.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. You also like Toussaint and Tracy Toms.
Yeah.
Like great small roles for actresses that don't get a lot of work, in my opinion.
You know your stuff.
I know! He's good!
Thanks.
He's good! He's good!
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try,
Yeah.
but I very much like both of them, and I think Toussaint steals every scene she's in. She's just, she's amazing.
Great actress.
And I'd love to see her in more films, leading roles even.
Yeah.
Even though she's great on TV too.
Yeah.
But do you seek those out to kind of fill in your smaller roles? Are you looking specifically for
Yes.
people that you think should be in more film?
Yeah. Beverly Todd on I Will Follow, who played the aunt who passed away.
Yes.
Incredible actress. And Lorraine Toussaint, both are just veterans and legends in my mind. That Nicole White, yeah. But she was through the audition process. I think in terms of actresses who I've always watched and admired,
really.
watched and admired, and just, you know, they're not around enough. Definitely seeking them out, you know, and you find that the response is really enthusiastic. Like, you're seeking me, you're asking me. You know, it's not coming in audition, it's giving them respect of, here's just the offer, like, you don't have to do anything. Will you come play with us, please?
Yeah.
So it was really
you know
nice.
what, Nicholas, we don't get enough offers. Yeah. So to have a director who at a point in your career comes to you when the majority of what you're getting is you're walking into a room and working your butt off to get it, when they respect you in that way, to offer this to you, it is a very humbling experience, man. It really is.
I can imagine. Yeah, that's awesome. And actually, for next, maybe I can get a response from all of you. What do you think about what people are terming kind of a black new wave in independent cinema?
Yeah.
And even after that, where do you see black voices in mainstream cinema, independent cinema? Any of your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's a great question for David to answer because our film debuted at Sundance on the day that Red Tails opened nationally. And so I think there's a real, you know, there's that film is kind of standing in contrast to the black independent film movement that's being called the Black New Wave, and yet it's so much a part of it. You know, it's so much a part of the conversation. So the fact on that day, on January 20th, we premiere at Sundance and Red Tails open nationally on 90,000 quadrillion screens. There's some dialogue that's happening between the two, and it's really about, you know, kind of a furthering and fostering of the black cinematic image at this moment, and taking it past just it being a quick burst, but something that's really sustainable. That's our question. I know we've talked about this a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, the blessing for me is to go from a film like The Help, which has done incredible business, but arguably and controversially deals with the kind of subject matter we've slightly been stuck in, especially when it comes to what Hollywood affords us to do. So that, on the one hand, has made $200 million, and that's great. And we have great actresses like, you know, Octavia Spencer and Viola Davis working and being nominated for awards. Great. But what's amazing about Red Tails is we have young African-American men at the center of their own story on the big screen, with all the bells and whistles, not made for a niche market, made for a worldwide audience. That, to me, is moving the conversation forward. And then, like I say, the privilege for me going from The Help to Red Tails to Middle of Nowhere, where we have what are, in my opinion, are voices that I truly hope and pray and believe will sustain this sort of spike in activity, because we had that in the 90s. We had Spike Lee, we had John Singleton, we had a flurry of films where black people were working, and you had recognizable faces that were born out of that, but there's definitely been a slump. And for me, did we get lazy? Was it to do with the way films are put together? There may be something to do with the fact that we, filmmakers who came through the indie world, then became subservient to wanting to work for studios and then didn't get the opportunities, and sort of it tailed off. But what we now have in the digital age, what we now have with technology making filmmaking easier and more affordable, is that these voices, which have been born out of what I deem to be pressure, of not being able to get their films made, of not getting the opportunities, so you've just got to go and find the money. The talent is ready because they are also hungry, and you're now having this beautiful flourish of activity where people are just going, you know what, fine, I will eat a little less, but I will create a little more. And so that is what we're having. And when you have this level of excellence with the writing, with the directing, with the cinematography, with, you know, across the board, my hope and prayer is that it will be undeniable that this has to be sustained financially, and there have to be different ways of thinking about how to do that. For me, I think we need to what will make the bubble burst is if we again go, okay, studios, we've made some nice movies, give us some. No, and that's what I love about what Ava is doing with Affirm. You know, she has set up a distribution company that will sustain not just for herself, but for other filmmakers, so that we are no longer having to constantly be thinking in that way. So if we can get that right, not just for black filmmakers, but across the board, because that's what happened with music. You know, the blues turned into rock and roll, you know, and Elvis, you know, took it wherever, but it was Muddy Waters. Do you know what I mean? Muddy Waters gave birth to the Rolling Stones, and you know, maybe what happened there will happen again. Is that okay? In our little, you know, lab of how to get our voices heard, we will create something that almost inevitably the world will steal. But this time we're going to be part of the story. So that's how I see it.
To the latter,
That's very good.
to the latter portion of David's point, I agree that specifically it's a beautiful thing to give brown and black faces an opportunity. And you take the artist and you separate them from the actor who just wants a job in a desperate way, and then you get beautiful work out of that. But the problem is that they are still sort of, it's a catch-22, because we're still being defined as the black new movement. And I think ultimately it can't necessarily, even though we're very proud to have the moniker black preceding the rest of the phrase, we absolutely have to get past the black new movement, and we have to just be a part of what Paul Newman was doing.
I agree.
We got to just be a part of that. You know,
I don't know. I'll disagree with you on that.
I agree to
I
disagree.
love we'll agree to disagree. I love it to be called a black new movement.
No, I love it.
I mean, not new.
I love it.
But I prefer not to just be called a filmmaker. I'm a black woman filmmaker, and that specificity for me, there's universality in the specific, and so for me,
but
you
I
know,
want you to be recognized
No, yeah,
as a
sure.
brilliant filmmaker.
Beyond that, that label,
the
and
way
that.
that I identify myself is not as a label. That's my identity,
True,
and I
yeah.
embrace it. So I don't see it as a
That's why I
label
said
or a
it's a
clutch.
catch-22.
Yeah, it's a
Because
label or
we're
a
equally
clutch.
as proud as what we are and what we wear on our skin.
Right.
And it's not about culture, it's not about skin color. Culture is about all the things that we've come through. It is painted in a skin color that we're proud of. But we also have to be equally as pointed out as being brilliant outside of, oh, they're brilliant to be black.
Right.
We have to be pointed out as, you know, these are people that are also happen to be, in parentheses, African American or African or whatever. But, you know.
In my own personal opinion, not is
Tell us, Nicholas, your opinion.
about people labeling film movements are just people trying to draw comparisons and connections
Boxes.
and boxes, and that creates boxes and that creates labels. And I think your film is excellent. Both your films are excellent, and in thinking about what I wanted to ask you, that's where I recently kind of read about this Black New Wave cinema, and that's not. And I've seen a lot of the movies that were mentioned in the list I read. But I mean, when I watch a great film, I don't automatically think, oh, that's a mumblecore film, or this is part of this movement. I mean, it's just a good movie, and people should want to seek out seeing good stories on film. That's what I think.
That was your point?
Yeah, and not to disagree. I'm not disagreeing with you in the fact that it is part of your identity, and those extra adjectives that we use to describe ourselves, we need to own them.
Yeah.
I think Ava DuVernay, Emayatzy Corinealdi, and David Oyelowo are superstars and super people at the same token. The reality is, in agreement with you, it can be a little patronizing when you're being so supported, specifically because you are, the colored film, the colored superstars. No. That's patronizing.
I agree.
We've always been equally talented, if not more talented in many ways, It's just a really tough thing for me. So it is a catch-22.
Yeah, we're Martin and Malcolm on this point.
I like that.
Good.
And this is maybe more of the same kind of question, but Black women filmmakers, there aren't a lot. And you've turned out 2 films that are both excellent in a short amount of time, and I think I should congratulate you on that. Is it Cassie Lemon? Casey Lemon, sorry. I've liked her films too, but long gestation period in between. Every filmmaker, of course, is different, but I guess, and now we have Dee Reese too, and I'm glad to see she's working on new things, but I really hope you do something else soon too.
No, that's one of the issues, I think, with Black filmmakers overall, but specifically with Black women. We have all women filmmakers. There's a challenge in terms of our lives and our commitments with family and what gets in between, and so you find long periods of time normally with women filmmakers in between each project.
I'm on that point with you.
Right. For me, though, these films are my children. You know what I mean? This is what I want to leave in the world. And these stories and these images. And so I'm really proud of that. And so I raise them and work on them, like kids. And so we're going to make another one in the summertime.
Okay.
So, I'm really looking for that output. I was talking with David about, Spike Lee's output, 20 films in 20 years, documentaries, commercials, videos, features. Hasn't been a woman filmmaker that's had that kind of output. You have some hits and misses, but that's definitely a goal to leave behind a canon of work. You know what I mean? A body of material. And so that's my goal. So in order to do that, you got to keep working.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
So, but no, Black women filmmakers, we've got Casey, we've got Gina Prince Bythewood, we've got Julie Dash, who's here at the festival with archived material, Daughters of the Dust, a seminal piece. Cheryl Dunier. Then also there's a new crop of us. Dee Reese, myself, a sister named Tina Mabry who did Mississippi Damned. Okay. Victoria Mahoney has a film called Yellow to the Sky. There's a number of women that are making their first feature right now that we're watching and trying to support. So, it's like a handful of us.
It helps with you asking the right questions.
Yeah,
thank you.
It does.
Well, and to bring attention to where attention is due, I think,
it.
too. And, there's a lot of mainstream meddling in festivals and even Sundance, and I think it's important that your film was premiered here and that people know about it. One, I guess, since I'm getting long on time, but can you talk about your personal influence, like films that have influenced you? Because I noticed that your character brings David to film, and is it Fassbinder's Ali, Fear Eats the Soul?
Look, is he my favorite? Is this my man right here?
So you definitely helped the movement that David elaborated on by asking. That's my point. If you bring attention and you're a different culture than we are, and you're asking these kind of questions, that helps.
Yeah. No, we usually don't
that
get
helps,
as good
man.
as educated interview.
Oh,
viewer.
thank you.
So it
But,
definitely helps. But yeah, no, yeah, that's
well, because in what it means for her to have brought him to a movie
Right.
like that, and the themes that are in that, that's an excellent classic movie
Right.
that it's so sad people don't know about
Right.
that filmmaker anymore. It seems,
Right.
but yeah, just can you talk about your influences? And I guess
Yes, my cinematic influences are varied and wide, probably more diverse than you would think for a black girl from Compton. And so that's why I wanted to put
never
that,
assume.
You never assume, that's correct. But I wanted to put a piece in there that I always love that piece. But it's also completely unexpected for her to take him to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a comment about, yes, we love independent film, yes, we love foreign film, yes, we take it all in as well. It's not, all one thing. But yes, I love Fassbinder.
Well, and then about a love that between two people that is the societal constraints are what tears them apart, and her relationship, her husband in prison, like that, society.
Yeah, it's an entanglement. That film is about a complicated love story, and this film is about a complicated love story. When love is a choice and love becomes hard, and you still stay and you work through it. That film, I'll Leave Here, It's the Soul, is very much those themes. So, it gets a little deeper, but I did choose it for those reasons.
Okay, good.
But no, it's, thanks for noticing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Well,
for Fink to come off of that, right? For Fink to play right after that.
Yeah, he likes the Fink song that comes out.
Okay, yeah. That's good.
But no, thanks for the great questions.
Yeah,
And, I love the site. It's cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome, and it was nice to meet all of you. I'm thrilled that
Nice to
I got to talk to all of you. So, all right.
You did a good job. I'm prepared.